Welcome, race fans, to This Week in Racing for August 2nd, and now for the latest. And we're starting with NASCAR news. We always start with NASCAR, and then we end it with whatever Formula One and IndyCar news breaks. But since we gear mostly towards NASCAR fans at Motorsports Radio USA, we always start with NASCAR news, and this is Jimmie Johnson. Jimmie Johnson is getting another crew chief. Kevin Meendering is now being replaced with Cliff Daniels. This is effective immediately. News broke out on Monday. Cliff Daniels was the race engineer for the 48 team and helped Jimmie Johnson win the 2016 championship. Kevin Meendering took over for Chad Naus after Naus was moved to William Byron's 24 team. In the Hendricks Motorsports camp, Meendering will remain at Hendrick Motorsports in a senior competition role. Source NASCAR.com. Jimmie Johnson finished in 15th last Sunday at Pocono Raceway. Now, speaking of Pocono Raceway, NASCAR is making changes to the Pocono races in 2020. Everybody knows that NASCAR is holding a doubleheader next year, a doubleheader weekend in the Cup Series with a race on Saturday and a race on Sunday. Two things to know. First, the field for the Sunday race will be set by inverting the lead lap finishers from the Saturday race. So, for example, the last driver on the lead lap at the end of Saturday's race will start in first in Sunday's race. Also, the length of the Sunday race will be 350 miles instead of 400. Now, it's not known yet the length of Saturday's race. That still has to be determined and announced by NASCAR. NASCAR will be visiting Pocono for just one weekend next season. So Saturday will be a Truck Series race followed by a Cup Series race, and then Sunday will be an Xfinity Series race followed by a Cup Series race. I think it's going to be pretty neat. I'm kind of looking forward to checking that out. I actually been to Pocono Raceway. It's a cool track. All right, in other NASCAR news, I'm calling this the logo battle. So the NASCAR Truck Series, Eldora Speedway, the Dirt Derby, which was last night, Rayone Brothers, and the 33 truck and number 33's primary sponsor, Marathon Petroleum, and the Marathon logo displayed on the hood. Driving the 33 was Mike Marla, who is a dirt late model driver participating in his first NASCAR Truck Series race on Thursday night. Well, during practice, NASCAR had instructed the team to remove the logo, the Marathon Petroleum logo, and wound up racing. The 33 truck wound up racing, the 33 team, I should say, raced an unlettered truck. Now, the reason is because Sunoco is the official race fuel of NASCAR, and Sunoco pays big dollars for that. And according to NASCAR, NASCAR reserves the right to not let competing sponsors on the racetrack. This is in most cases. And according to the NASCAR rulebook, in most cases, paint schemes have to be approved before arriving at the track. It's a little wishy-washy here, because when Monster Energy signed on to be the primary sponsor of the Cup Series, there was another energy drink, and that was grandfathered in, and that was Coca-Cola's AMP, and there were some others. And since they were grandfathered in, NASCAR can't take those away, but can block any new sponsors in that beverage category. Back in 2007, there was a conflict with Sprint Nextel, who signed on as primary sponsor back when it was the Sprint Nextel Cup back in 2004, and a conflict was with AT&T. When AT&T purchased Bell South, also involved the takeover of Singular and Alltel, which I think was part of Bell South. It's all confusing, but when Bell South was purchased, this also included the consolidated ownership of Singular and Alltel. Now, before that, these two phone carriers were grandfathered in, but because AT&T took over and changed everything, AT&T was not grandfathered in. So now that it's AT&T cannot sponsor any teams. AT&T filed a lawsuit against NASCAR, and NASCAR countersued with a $100 million countersuit. District Judge Marvin Shub ruled that the logos could be changed. During the time of the legal battle, Jeff Burton was driving blank race cars. Source Racing News and other internet sources. Mike Marla finished 4th on Thursday night. All right, that wraps up the IndyCar news. We got some IndyCar stuff and some news from IndyCar news and a little news out of Indy, and we're out of here. In IndyCar news, Andretti Autosport announced last Saturday that it has reached a multi-year agreement with Alexander Rossi, contract extension for the driver of the 27 car. Also, Rossi gets to keep his primary sponsors, Napa Auto Parts and Auto Nation. Alexander Rossi, the 2016 Indy 500 winner, currently sitting in second place with 488 points in the championship standings. Current points leader is Joseph Newgarden with 504 points. And that's as of Monday, July 29th. IndyCar has a couple weeks off, I believe. They come back next weekend. All right, one more. So GT at IMS. Okay, so it's the GT Challenge and the GT World Challenge America. Indianapolis Motor Speedway announced last Friday that IMS will be hosting the International GT Challenge in 2020, October 1st through the 4th, in conjunction with GT World Challenge America. 8 hours of endurance racing at the Brickyard. This event will combine the two series for the first time in what IMS is calling an epic endurance classic. The best international GT teams up against GT World Challenge America teams. The event is being organized by SRO Motorsports Group, who also features the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour in Australia, the Total 24 hours of Spa in Belgium. That was actually last weekend. Suzuka 10 hours in Japan, and the Kyalami 9-hour in South Africa. All right, and that's it for today. And the 24-hour races are actually pretty cool if you ever get to catch it. The Total 24 was actually on YouTube. It gets a little funny during the overnight. Sometimes they cut it off for some reason. I don't know why. But if you're into that 24-hour endurance racing, you catch a lot of stuff on YouTube. All right, racing fans, that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. This is Manny Allegretta for the Motorsports Radio USA podcast, motorsportsradio.net.